This is Daily Gains. Welcome back.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Dave. It's time to get it in. Let's get going. James 5:4. Behold, the wages of the laborers who mowed your fields, which you kept back by fraud, are crying out against you. And the cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord of hosts. Doesn't even say they're believers. Their cries have made it.
Would you agree that this is probably one of the strongest pro-socialism verses in Scripture?
I would say that it is pro image bearers of God being treated in light of that, despite the opportunity of making more money or whatever. So yes, I would. I do believe there is a need to care for your people, period, when they're hurting. When I look at the story of the Good Samaritan, that one causes me just to stop, because there was no get out of jail free cards. There was no excuses that were let by. I mean, he took a Pharisee and a priest, and both of them passed by. And you've got people, you don't know if they headed to the temple or just left the temple. It doesn't matter. They're not helping out.
Right.
And because of that, they are challenged. They are less than in the story, and the person who is despised in the culture is the actual hero. In our culture, to me, these would be the immigrants and refugees that actually pick our food and do a lot of work and not paying them well, not doing what you know to do, and then saying, I'm doing it because I've got stockholders.
Right.
I understand that there is a certain expectation of responsibility because you are in relationship with them that is special, that you are being held accountable for, whether you agree with it or not. Yeah. But yeah, I would say this is, if you want to use the term socialist, I would, again, lean more into image bearers of God. It says, which you kept back by fraud.
So maybe anti-capitalist?
Hmm?
Maybe anti-capitalist?
I would say more of a balanced approach versus a purely capitalist approach. Yeah.
I asked the question, and I'm going to go ahead and take a swipe at even the question itself here. I would say that it could be used as either, but only if you forget two things. One, the context of this verse is this person is still in court in front of a judge. And in that picture, the judge is the one who's being appealed to, not the worker who was wronged. And two, the wrong that's being done here is going to be avenged by God. It's going to be made right, recompensed by God, again, not by the person who was wronged.
Yeah, it says it's reaching up to his ears.
And that's where I don't think that this is a good verse for socialism or anti-capitalism. Unless what you're saying by either of these is, hey, God has said there is a way, as you're saying, Dave, as I agree with what you're saying, there's a way that God has called us to treat each other, and he's going to hold us responsible for that. But as an economic system, this falls down. What this is really saying is it doesn't matter what economic system you use.
Correct.
You're going to be accountable.
And that's what I was saying. Exactly. Not trying to label it, or I think when you push it into one of those labels, then you have a problem, as opposed to really seeing that this is a relational issue and not simply an economic issue. This isn't just business, as people like to say. This isn't business. You're right. This is abuse. This is mismanagement intentionally. This is denying people the opportunity to be human. And so there are many ways to look at this and know that this is not okay. Right? I look at this and think of slavery. I look at this and think of, you know, other countries where they're being cheated of the resources that they have because they don't have the wealth of other nations to process it properly.
Right.
And so they're never being allowed to get ahead because they're kept in a certain space. Like there are a lot of things where you just go, okay, this, some of it is systemic and other parts are made clear that this is a space where God is going to have to work.
Yeah. Well, it's a challenge for me is to make sure that I'm maintaining the right perspective, that things that I may want to think of as being simply a justice issue or simply an economic issue or simply a societal issue are actually a God issue. And as fired up or as apathetic as I may get about any of these things, you're right to point them out to me. You're right to call me to accounts, but I'm wrong to forget that the person I'm actually going to be accountable to, the person who's actually going to be calling balls and strikes on this, is God Himself. And He's going to make it right in the end. If I'm sitting here on either side of the capitalist socialism fence, trying to throw stones and ward off the assaults from the other side, I have a wrong view of the person to whom I'm going to be giving an account and where my chastisement may be coming from. And I don't know, that seems significant to me. So I offer that up.